Welcome to the first of hopefully many Down Under videos from my side. I just arrived in Cairns yesterday. Unfortunately, it was already getting dark when I left the airport, so I just quickly went to the Airbnb, had a shower, and also mounted the lens foot on my lenses again because I took it off for the flight. And this morning I went out of bed early, a bit after 4 a.m. to use the day because I actually only have one day in Cairns that I can really focus on bird photography. And I know that you are facing often the same issue. You go somewhere, maybe with family or friends, and you only have a limited time that you can dedicate to bird photography or whatever type of wildlife photography. And you don't know the area, you need to take the weather as it is because you have a limited time. So I hope I can give you some tips. We already saw from the way to the Airbnb to the beach here some marsupials, some flying foxes. It was too dark for actually good pictures, but it was a nice 45-minute walk in this sense. And yeah, I will get going here at the first location and then give you some tips along the way. So as you might have already guessed from the first sequence, my first stop was the beach directly in Cairns. Just because usually the shore or beaches, at least if they're in a, let's say, semi-natural state, are always a great start for birding. In the morning you don't have too many people usually, and the sunrise is supposed to be around here and was, according to the forecast, supposed to be a clear sky. So I thought this could give some nice backlit shots. And when I started to go here, I left my backpack a bit behind. I just took my lens with me and then I lay down, because often when you lay down, the birds really come closer. And I managed to still get some shots with the city lights in the background. Of course, it was still a bit dark, so I really needed to wait until the shorebirds paused for a moment. This works better for some species than for others. And then it's just a waiting game. So it's getting brighter and brighter. And there was just one shorebird passing along here. I needed to stop recording for a minute just to be able to photograph it. And I actually used my 100 to 300 for this task, just because this allowed me to get a bit more of the surroundings. We have a forest starting here and the mountains in the background with the beautiful orange sky to get this a bit more in the image. Unfortunately, so far the bird was still a bit too far away. So too small in the frame. Of course, I could have just used more focal length, but then I also clipped more of the sky and I wanted to include the surroundings. So I think I will stay here for a few more minutes and then just explore the beach a bit more. And just a great example why it's good to stay low in these situations is I just had a shorebird, a small one, 2 to 3 meters behind me. I just realized it when I got up and looked around that there was one just behind me. So this can really help not only for getting a nicer angle for the photography, but also to have the birds a bit more used to or a bit reacting less shy, which is of course very important. If you want to learn more about my techniques and approaches to bird photography, then please check out my ebook, The Guide Towards Better Bird Pictures. I linked it down below. As you might be able to see on my face, the sun just came up, so I switched tactics a bit. I dropped my 100 to 300, or I put it back in the backpack, and I'm now taking pictures with my 600mm just to get a bit more focal length and really focus on this area when the bird is passing in the reflection of the sun. There it's very bright and we get amazing colors. So what I usually do there is I just dial in the exposure manually for this very small area, and then I switch to the optical viewfinder simulation, and then I can also easily find and track the bird left or right without having to change the exposure. And I can, with one press of a button, activate and deactivate it to double check if the exposure still fits, if like for now there is a small cloud moving in. With Nikon cameras, this setting is called Optimize for the ease of view, I believe. And it also helps for the autofocus, from my impression, if you have this activated, especially when you underexpose a lot. And if you want to have more tips about the Nikon or Canon autofocus system, then please check out my ebooks that I linked also below. I've realized that over the last few years I've become a bit of a light snob, so I only go out when the light is really the best. And I think after half an hour after sunrise I was already not happy with the light anymore. So I went away from the water and went a bit more next to the beach where there were some trees and took some pictures there. And the cool thing here is, since it's the first time I've been in Australia, everything is new. So already the doves, they look so beautiful, so I took some images of them. And now I move to my next location and I'm having a very nice breakfast today, a bit improvised, because I wanted to spend as much time as possible outside, and I want to talk to you a bit about my planning. If I arrive at a new location, how do I do it? So yesterday I arrived rather late in the evening at the airport. Maybe you can hear an airplane now in the background. And I didn't want to drive too far to the Airbnb because I don't have a car, so I needed to take a cab anyway. So I chose an Airbnb that is kind of close by, and then I also looked at which green areas are close by where I could go for birding on the next day. And my first approach is just open Google Maps with the satellite image and have a look where is green spaces. Obviously the beach is nice, but then I quickly realized the botanical garden, which is basically between the beach and the Airbnb that I'm staying in. And these gardens, parks, they are usually quite nice because you have some nature in an urban area, and this means that most of the birds are a bit more chilled. They are not so skittish. The forest is not so dark that it's hard to get any light in. So it's usually, and it's quite a diverse habitat. So you have some water, you have some bigger trees and many different things. So quite flexible in this sense. The next thing I usually check is how easy can I access, there's a turkey passing, how easily can I access, for example, the water bodies. So is it possible to go really on ground level like I did on the beach today? Because if I shoot at water, I usually want to have this. Here in the botanical gardens, this is not so important, but what I need to check here is obviously the opening hours. And I think there is a part behind with an opening hours. I didn't do too much research there, but I knew that part of it you can access all day around. So that's also the place that I am in now. And I usually also focus a bit more on the area that is a bit more natural. So not everything cut grass with a centimeter tall only, but a bit more natural vegetation, as you can see here between the bushes and trees. Afterwards, I usually check eBird and also do a quick Google search, just best birding locations in Cairns, see if the same locations pop up or maybe something new that I was not aware. Now I will try to continue taking pictures here in the shadow, as long as I have some shadow, because the light is not too harsh there, but also works as if some birds are on a branch and in the background there is not directly sunlight, but like 2 layers behind there is some sun. This works quite well. I got some shots already and the turkeys are really just 2 meters in front of me, so I will grab my lens and take some photos now. After the pictures in the morning, I went back to the Airbnb because it was just blue skies, very harsh light, and quite frankly I was also happy to have a shower and a proper breakfast. And I used the time to import my pictures so that I have a copy of all the images, and then quickly skimming through the images to see if there is any systematic issue, like all of them underexposed, or maybe there was a problem with heat haze or whatsoever. This morning everything was fine, just no amazing pictures, but everything okay. And now I went out again, and not where I intended to go. I basically wanted to go to a mangrove forest, but then after being here in the morning in the botanical garden, I really liked it a lot and decided to come again, because now I know the location already a bit more, and the local also told me where an owl is basically breeding and in which tree we could maybe observe it after sunset. But what I want to show you first is behind me there's a cormorant in a tree, and I'm now shooting with the 600mm and the 1.4 extender. I could get closer. In fact, I was passing by before a bit closer to the cormorant. I could have taken frame filling shots with 600mm, but the angle is not good, because then I shoot from the bottom to the top. It doesn't look good. I see mainly the belly of the bird, and also in the background I have the blue sky or some clouds. Whereas if I go back, use a bit more focal length, I have a nicer perspective, a nicer angle, and in the background I can incorporate some of the greens, which looks much nicer. An additional tip, if you have a situation like this and you need to kind of pass the bird a bit closer, because this was just where the way was, the path was, then I would recommend just doing this not super quick, but in a steady movement. Just continue walking, don't even look too much at the bird. And in many situations, at least in places where the birds are a bit used to people that pass by on the roads or cars that pass by on the roads all the time, they will most likely stay. However, if you stop, take the camera, maybe take a few safety shots, it can be that the bird actually leaves because it doesn't like this movement of you taking your big lens and pointing it to the bird. And the longer you do bird photography, the more you will be able to anticipate these situations. For more tips like these, please check out my ebook, Bird Photography, A Guide to Better Photos.